3.1 Addition and subtraction of matrices. So an example of a matrix is given below. What are the costs of pizza depending if you have a single topping, double topping, or triple topping, or it could be like size of pizza too. Okay, so this would be one example of why we might want to organize our data in a matrix. Now a little bit, what do each of the items in the matrix mean? We go to the next slide. Each entry in a matrix is called an element, identified by a row and a column number. Okay, so on our matrix with the pizza example, our dimensions are going to be rows by columns. So rows, those are going to be the ones that are going left and right. So like there's 3 rows here, and then columns, those are going to be going up and down. So in this case, we have 4 columns. So we say the dimension of the matrix is a 3 by 4. Okay, 3 rows and 4 columns. So each element, if you look at this first one, P is just the name of the matrix. Usually it's given by a capital letter. And then the next letter, 1, 2, helps us figure out which element we're talking about. So this means first look at row and then look at column. So row 1, column 2. Row 1 and column 2 would be the Casey's pizza. That's $5.80. Okay, the second one would be row 2 and column 1. Go to row 2, column 1, that would be 11.30. So Pizza Hut's double pizza. And finally, row 3, column 3, row 3, column 3, that would be the Godfather's one for $15. Okay, square matrix. This is going to have the same number of rows as columns, so it might be like a 1 by 1, maybe a 2 by 2 with 4 elements, maybe a 3 by 3, which would have 9 elements, or any number that you want to put in there, an n by n, 100 by 100. Okay, that's going to be a square matrix. A column matrix, that has 1 column, so it's going to look something like this, where there's a bunch of elements in there, n elements, and a bunch of rows, so like 4, 3, -2, 1, 0. So this one has 5 rows, but only 1 column, so we call it a column matrix. A row matrix is just going to kind of do the opposite. It has 1 row, but then a bunch of columns. So this would be like a 1 by 6. 1 row, but 6 columns. All right, let's practice. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can get these right. So pause the video, try these, and then resume. All right, it would be a 2 by 5 matrix. The second row, third item would be an 8. The first row, fourth item would be a 4. And the first row, first item would be a 5. When I was looking on Khan Academy to possibly give you a Khan Academy assignment, they write it a little bit different, but it means the same thing. All right, the next thing we're going to get into is adding matrices and subtracting matrices. When you do this, they must have the same dimensions. So we can't add a 2 by 5 with a 1 by 3. It has to be a 2 by 5 plus a 2 by 5. So let's try one of these. If I want to add A plus B, so what I'm going to do is take all the items that were in the first row and first column and combine them. So A plus B becomes 2 plus 8 in that first one. First row, second column would end up being 4 plus -5. Then we'd have -1 plus 1 and 5 plus 2. Okay, what would happen if I flip that around and did B plus A? Would we get anything different? So if we just flip the order that we're adding, 8 plus 2 and 1 plus negative 1, negative 5 plus 4, 2 plus 5, we're going to get the exact same answer because 8 plus 2 is the same thing as 2 plus 8, and so on. However, if it was a subtraction sign, we would not be getting the same answer. All right, let's take these same two matrices, the A and the B, but let's do something else with them. What if we took 2 times the A matrix minus 3 times the B matrix? So what we're going to do is take 2 times that A matrix. It's kind of, I think of it like the distributive property. And then 3 times the second matrix, the B matrix. Okay, so one thing I'm going to change this to plus a negative so that I can distribute that negative 3 and then I'll just add my final answer. All right, so we're going to take this 2 here and kind of put it through our matrix. So our new matrix, just the first one here, I'm going to take 2 times each element. We're going to keep all the elements separate though. We're not going to add them or multiply them. We're going to still have 4 separate elements. Okay, over here I'm going to take each of my element times negative 3. So it's going to be negative 3 times 8 and negative 3 times negative 5, negative 3 times 1, and negative 3 times 2. All right, and finally, then you can add them up. So negative 4 plus negative 24 would be negative 20. 8 and 15, 23. Negative 2 and negative 3 would be negative 5. 10 and negative 6 would be 4. Okay, so that's how I would combine those two. All right, why don't you guys try the second one? So go ahead and just pause the video and try the second one, see if you can get it to come out. All right, so then your final answer for number 5 would be the matrix 18, 15, negative 4, and 27. So for your assignment today, it is on Khan Academy. Now, if you haven't added to my Khan Academy class, we did this the first week of school, but haven't had a chance to use it yet. You'll need to go to Canvas, and then there will be a link for you to be able to get into that class. But when you go to Khan Academy, it's going to look something like this. And so you want to click on these 2 lessons. So the first one, adding and subtracting matrices. Go ahead and start it. And then you'll just be writing your answer that you get when you add or subtract them. The second one's a little bit trickier because you need to figure out the missing matrix and be very precise, because if you miss one of these, it tells you you have it wrong. So just be very precise when you write your answer. So we'll see you guys later.